Okay, howdy, hi. Today is crazy. The last couple days, things are getting wild. Things are just getting wild. I got no complaints. I got no complaints. Did I get another $5 of wine? Yes, this one's even cheaper than the last one. And honestly, this is my first drink. That was my first drink that I just took. It's more drinkable than the last one, but I wonder if it's lower in alcohol content. No, no, it's not. It's more. Okay, well, it's good. Yellowtail. On sale at Walgreens. Okay. This is me being bougie. I'm allowed to be bougie. Fucking earned it. I scrub toilets for a living and fucking push people's prolapses in and make sure people don't kill themselves and fucking mow lawns and fucking manage shit, clean up dogs shit, people's dogs shit. I've done a lot. I deserve a glass of wine every once in a while. This is a new thing for me. Let me live my life. You want to be in judgment about it? Go ahead, but that's a really dumb way to spend your time because it doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't. To judge me for something so simple, that's crazy. You're being crazy right now. I'm sorry things aren't working out for you the way that they're working out for me, but maybe you should be treating people better. Maybe you should be treating yourself better. That'd do it. That'd do it. I bet. I don't know. When I started treating people better, I mean, I've always tried to treat people great, to be honest. I had to learn how to treat myself great in order to actually treat people better. Because I was a bit confused for a long time. So if you're somebody that treats people like shit and then thinks that things are going to keep working out for you, like, maybe that's your problem, bud. Maybe that's your problem. I've been telling you that the wheel is turning. The wheel is turning. People that treat people like shit aren't going to keep being on top anymore. That's not the world I choose to live in. I'm going to change it. And I'm not the only one. There's lots of people out here that have really good hearts that have, like, earned their right to be where they're at. And they ain't going down without a fight. We're not bending over backwards anymore. We're not just being so nice that you can just take full advantage. No, fuck you. Get in line. People don't want to hear it, but they need to. I didn't want to hear most of the shit I've had to hear growing up, but I heard it, and I took it, and I'm in a better place for it. And so will you be, once you accept it. Be mad all you want. It's not going to help you. I don't mean to have a shitty attitude, but, like, listen. Life has been teaching me lessons consistently my entire life. My mom told me from the moment I came out of her fucking puss, every day. I mean, it wasn't every day, but she's told me consistently since I was born, your sins will find you out. Your sins will find you out. You know, your good things get rewarded, bad things get disciplined. Both of my parents taught me that. But it wasn't just part of something that was happening in my home. I don't know why my parents haven't applied those same standards that they taught me. That's crazy to me, but I digress. I digress. It's true. Your sins do find you out. The things that you do in secret will come to the light. There's no evading it. You may think that you're evading it for a time. You may think that you're getting away with shit. It may feel like you have. You might see certain successes and be like, damn, I can't believe I got away with murder. But it's coming for you. Judgment's coming for you. You ain't getting away with that shit forever. Are you kidding me? Listen, you can go back into other videos of mine and find me confessing, my sins to the entire world. You can go back into any of my social media and you can find those things. I'll continue to do it. All right. There's plenty that I've done that I've not been proud of. There's plenty I've done that has been low vibrational, that's been selfish, that's been wicked, truly. I'm not happy, proud of myself for those things. I wasn't even proud of even those things. I mean, there's been times that I have been proud to be wicked, to be honest, that I did take pride in it, and I've looked back and surprised myself with how fucking arrogant I've been in my life, to be honest, and I have made changes because I don't like seeing myself that way. That might be the difference. And truly, at the end, those that are truly wicked, that take pride in it, can continue to be truly wicked and take pride in it. And those that aren't truly wicked and don't take pride in it won't be truly wicked and won't take pride in it. That's fine. But all y'all fuckers that fall in the middle, that are lukewarm, you ain't gonna last. There's always gonna be a dynamic. But falling on the side of not knowing who you are, not really knowing what decisions to make, not knowing what to do, like, you have to take risks. You know, you have to be able to do the thing. You have to be willing to do the thing in order to be able to do the thing. But yeah, if you're someone that's like continued to get away with being this person on the surface when you're really this person underneath the surface, yeah, it isn't going to keep up. It isn't going to keep up. Okay. There's been this period of time now where that's been the people that have been able to thrive, and that's going away now for a time. Those that are truly genuine, that have maintained that, are going to be the ones on top. And then that'll be for a time. And everything just balances out consistently, okay? But yeah, I don't know where this is coming from, but like, I'm feeling this energy of like, how dare you get what you got coming? Like, you don't deserve that. Like, well, and it's like, who's that for anybody to say? I'm obviously just talking to anybody who can resonate with the things that I'm saying. I'm not out here calling people out. You know, even when I talk about like specific things and issues that I've had with my family members, like those are very specific personal things to me. I still do my very best to not just call those people out. And if you've noticed, especially lately, I've very much been trying to just keep things in my own lane. I can't preach things and then not apply them into my life, right? So, you know, I can, obviously I have in the past, but that's not going to keep up. So if you think that I'm just saying this shit like as a judgment against you, like, I'm saying this shit because it's actually happening. I'm in it too. The reason it's not going to look like negative karma for me is because I haven't been out here being a piece of shit. I'm reaping what I've sown. You will reap what you've sown. I would suggest you accept it and that you make the most of it. And if you don't like the harvest that you're reaping, change what you're sowing. If you don't like the trees that are sprouting up in your life, if you don't like what is growing in your own personal garden, plant something different. Plant something different. Do something different. Maybe you need to weed more. Maybe you need to take the rocks out. Maybe you need to add different gravel. Maybe you need to add different types of nutrients. Like, I'm not perfect. I need to fucking quit ever eating fast food, period. I still struggle with it. I keep going to Jack in the Box because it's nearby, and now I've been like applying there just because it's somewhere nearby. I feel like I could just, if I could make money nearby, then I can like focus myself on all these other things. But like, the universe isn't just handing that to me, and I think that's because it already knows that I haven't proven that I have the discipline to not be consistently given to fast food. I just had to throw away 2 pizza boxes, and there's 2 more sitting in my car because I'm a fat fuck. The universe isn't proud of me for that. I'm not proud of myself for that. Okay? I'm just being honest. That's a little sin that I like giving into, and it is sinful. It hurts my body. It's not good for me, and it goes against my belief system. It's a sin. It's not a sin for everybody to eat Domino's and Jack in the Box, but it's a sin for me too. And I keep doing it. So I'm not perfect. But thankfully I've done enough work that like generally the way I'm being given to sinful deeds is fucking eating fast food, not doing meth and trying to kill people. No shade. Do what you will. It's the whole of the law in love for the fact that that is the truth. It wasn't stated like, I get it, it's Aleister Crowley, right? But that wasn't stated as some like him trying to rewrite the Bible sort of deal as it's been often taken. He was receiving those downloads because that was the actual reality of the world that we live in now. We live in an extremely demonic reality. If you believe in those things, that's the world that we live in now. This isn't the heaven on earth, that we're working towards, that is coming. Right now, we're in a time of darkness. We're in a practical new dark ages. Just because we have technology and lighting, people have been very misconceived to believe that isn't the case. Yet, where can you find morally upright people these days? And again, like I'm saying, I'm obviously not constantly given to this. All right. I do my very best, and I appreciate when people can recognize those things. I really do. I really do. It's huge because it's very hard to be that way in modern society, especially here in Babylon. But for real, I mean, where are all of the morally upright and just people? The people that really care enough to actually do the work to protect others, to care for others, to make sure that the world is being left better for others. Where are the people that aren't just being given to selfish behavior, that aren't just being shitty because it's easier, that aren't just given into convenience and comfort? I can drink wine. That's a convenience and a comfort. It is. I'm not talking about having to completely displace yourself into some form of stoicism where you're such a minimalist that you can't even enjoy your life. I lived that life too. I've done that as well. That's been part of my balance. That's why I've earned these things. I do think that those things serve a purpose. However, I don't think I grew up in churches where they taught that was the ideal, and I don't agree with that. I don't know what the point of living would be if it weren't for pleasure. It's about pleasure. It's about enjoying yourself and being able to give of yourself out of an abundance that you have received from the universe. But it's not so materialistic. Most of this material reality is an illusion. It's an illusion. Now, it's always been this type of thing that we can use in order to it's a metaphor. The reality that you see, touch, feel, experience is a metaphor for the real reality that we exist within. Okay? I know it seems backwards nowadays too. Everybody would assume that some sort of spiritual reality is the illusion because people are entirely displaced from that. But tell me why the most hardworking, wholesome, loyal, consistent working people that I know, people that have lots of money in the bank, people that can, have a good house, the people that have all of these things are some of the most miserable fucking people I know. Where I've met people on the street who haven't had a decent thing to eat in 13 fucking years, and they are truly, genuinely happy, decent, compassionate, loving, faithful people. All of these things are an illusion, right? It's great to be able to, if you can get yourself into proper alignment with your highest power, you may be able to receive the abundance of the universe in a tangible way that benefits you in order to be able to give more of those things. But you're only given that you may be able to give more. So and it's all just a matter of illusion. I literally met this woman on the street who has continued to live on the street, not because of the drugs. I'm sure that she's been on drugs. Sure. I'm sure that she has. It's a downfall that many people fall into on the street, and it's a shame. Not everybody does, but it's rare when you find people that aren't on drugs on the street. People thought I was extremely weird and were extremely uncomfortable with me not being on drugs when I was on the street, to be honest. Every once in a while I find people that, they drink sometimes, smoke sometimes, smoke pot, but maybe do mushrooms, those types of things, a different type of, California sober lifestyle. And they were all chill with me being sober, but the people that are on meth and heroin and crack and shit, they'd get bothered by the fact that I was on the street and not engaging in those things. And I kept getting offered it. Yeah, but don't you just want to be on this? And I was like, no, because I don't want to continue to be in this position. I don't want to find myself feeling comfortable in this position. I feel like the worst thing I could possibly do for my soul right now when I'm fucking sleeping behind dumpsters is letting myself feel a sense of euphoria here that is purely based on a substance that I'm taking in order to feel that way. I think that that would be extremely detrimental. I think that that would lead me down an extremely devastating path that I probably wouldn't come back from. I know myself pretty well. I know I'm pretty given to addiction, so I try not to give in to a lot of different things. You've seen me now drinking wine in every video for the last like 5 videos, okay? So I'm not constantly drinking wine and getting drunk, but it's very easy for me to go from never drinking to suddenly having wine every day. Even if it's just a glass or two, like, that's still coming from me not being fully, I mean, in part it's disciplined. It's what I choose to do. But it's all about a mindset and an energy in those types of ways. I've met people that are on meth that you wouldn't even know. They still go to work. They still do their things. They manage things really well. It's only when they start to abuse it that you start to be like, you're talking weird. You're saying weird shit. It's only when they start mixing it with alcohol or when they start, like, you know, getting too in their emotions and now they're overusing it that suddenly it's like, you're not yourself, and I don't exactly know why. But I've met people that I found out were on meth specifically. Crack, I feel like I've known people that have smoked crack in the past, but anytime that I've met somebody that's actively on it, it's pretty obvious that they're actively on it. Heroin, I've always watched absolutely change people. It's terrified me my whole life because of that. Before I understood what it was, I was like, oh yeah, I'll do some heroin. And then the same person that had offered to do it with me when I was like 14, 15 years old, ended up ODing. So I never did heroin. And then my best friend got on it when I was young. And, you know, we had a mutual friend that ended up ODing on it. And I realized that it was extremely dangerous and not something I would ever want anything to do with. I've seen people come back from it. I had a boss that was sober off of it for 14 years. My sister-in-law is sober off of it. And I absolutely, if you have come off of heroin, I have so much respect for you. I commend you so fucking much because I have watched that drug take every single person that has done it. I've never met a person that did it that wasn't changed by it, no matter how much they tried to swear that they weren't. It changes you. It does something to you. You can't, and if you do it once, you're likely to do it again, kind of like cocaine. I've watched people come back from cocaine and be okay, but I've also watched people get really, really, really shitty on it and stay on it, and I don't like that shit. Heroin to me is like the biggest one because I've watched it kill a lot of people. It's killed a lot of people that I know, and I'm so thankful that I never got into it because I don't think I would have ever gotten off of it. I don't know how I could. I know that I'm not strong-willed enough. This is why I commend people. Like, just because I'm able to do a spiritual work and teach these things doesn't mean that I'm any better than anybody else. And it's so crazy to me because, like, if you were to read the Bible, like, we have this idea of Jesus, right? But this is something that's always really irritated me about Christianity because Jesus himself constantly was going around letting other people know that they were even more powerful than he was in different ways. That's why he didn't engage in certain things. People are like, man, you must be such a powerful prophet in order to not be able to engage in this because most people do. And he was like, yeah, because if I did, I wouldn't be here. Like, the people that are able to engage in that and then come out of that with a genuine spirit, those people are powerful. Just as powerful as I am for not engaging in those things, if not even more. Like, the Holy Spirit that lives within people makes people even more powerful than just being divinely connected to God innately. You know, so like, but nobody understood it. Nobody got it because people looked at him like, yeah, but you're the one living out here without commitments. You're the one that's not married. You're the one doesn't have kids. You're the one that doesn't, you know, work this type of job or live this type of way. Like, you must be so much better than us. And he constantly was telling people like, no, you are a brother to me. You have the same exact capacity that I have for this. I'm naturally given to these things. For you, it's actually even greater. But you have that. You just have to give into that. Stop trying to worship me. Why do you guys keep trying to worship me? Carry your own cross. Let yourselves be a prophet. Let yourselves be those own things. I'm just an example trying to show you that these things aren't always easy. These things are extremely complex. These things don't take a perfect person to accomplish. That it's worth the work. That's all that I'm out here trying to do, is be an example of those things. And he got crucified for it. Not for what he was actually doing, but for people's perception of what it was that he was doing. And that's why Pilate himself was like, I wash my hands of this because I personally can't find anything wrong with this guy. I'm pretty sure that this is just something socially, but if that's the social norm, if that's what you guys want, like, that's on y'all. That's on y'all. And people were like, yeah, well, we don't understand this, and this guy's making us feel some way about ourselves, and we don't like looking in that mirror. We'd prefer to look in the murderer mirror. Give us a murderer. Give us a guy who hates us, because we understand that better. And I'm not judging. I have been there all of my life. All of my life. I am getting out of that place now of having to accept hate to myself over love of myself, because I can't receive love unto myself. I want to give it and give it and give it all day long, but I don't know how to properly receive it. That's crazy. That's not love that I'm giving in the first place. It's a desire to be received at best. That's not love. Love gives without asking anything in return. Love looks without expecting or defining. Love doesn't need a give or take in order to be validated for what it is. In fact, it's the opposite of that is truly love. Those things are ego. And it's I'm just as given to it as anyone else. That's why I try very hard when I'm, when I'm giving different messages to it's important for me to continue to give them because it keeps me in alignment too. This is all my own accountability. But I hope that, anyone who finds themselves magnetized towards it in any direction can find a benefit from it in order to help them release those chains of sin, whatever that is to you. It doesn't, I don't think that murder is ever okay. I think that there's always going to be a negative karma that comes to that. Always. I don't think that you can evade it. I think that it's innately something damaging and destructive. But I think that hating somebody is just as bad, if not worse, than taking someone's life, depending on the circumstance. I think it comes down to the intent behind a person's heart. I think sometimes it'd be better to take, if you're helping someone pass away who is sick and dying and suffering, or if you're hating someone who is out here trying to do their very best just because it makes you look bad, which one of those do you think is more sinful? That's why, it's not even about a comparison, it's about the heart of a person though, right? And that's the whole point too, where it's you start getting into comparison and you start nitpicking all this shit, and then all you're doing is trying to harness some sense of control that we as humans really don't have with each other. It's a deflection at best. Well, I can judge this thing rightly, so that makes me better than anybody else. That's not how it works. It's not how it works, and I see a lot of Christians doing that, claiming Jesus while they judge others, thinking that their judgments are what make them righteous. Where are your righteous actions? Where's your heart in the matter? Because if all you're doing is spending your time judging others, oh, she said that, but then she does this. If you have time to look at that stuff and judge that, it's pretty safe to assume that you're not taking the time to make sure that you're doing your shit right? If you can do them both in the same hand, great. That's why I'm a messenger, is because I've been given these messages at the same time I'm receiving them. And when I'm not doing that, it's probably not coming across the greatest way. And I try my best to get on top of those things, to be accountable to those things, to be honest about those things. But you can look back in my videos, in any of my videos, any of me talking about anything all over my social media, and you can see the ways that I am not adding up. There's some of it, a lot of the stuff that I've posted, a lot of Christians would look at and be like, this is purely demonic. This is all evil. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. I feel like me being genuine is not demonic. I don't give power to those things that way, though. And I think that those things, like if you can look back at anything that I've ever done, those things will speak of the power of how far I've come. Because I'm not still given to most of those things. And even when I am, I mean, I do my best to repent. That's the best that I have. That's the best that I have. I'm not currently watching porn. That's the best that I have. I really have to keep myself from it because every once in a while I really, really, really want to watch it. And every time I find myself watching it, I start getting into some shit that I don't need to be getting into. I start watching shit that I don't even want to support. I don't even agree with this. I would be ashamed if somebody found me watching this. Anybody. I don't need Jesus to come in order for me to feel ashamed about this. Literally anybody, I'd feel like, nah, because this doesn't agree with the messages that I'm trying to offer. This doesn't agree with the example that I'm trying to set. This doesn't agree with all of the work I've already done to get to how far I've gotten. This is actually sliding me back into some space I really don't want to be in. And I already learned those things. I went to a 12-step program for my porn addiction. I already learned the importance of taking inventory over those things. And there's green flags. There's certain things that you can do. Me drawing pornography is actually a very nice outlet. It's a healthy outlet for me. That might not be for everybody. And I get that. It's up for every person to take their own inventory. If looking at my drawings makes you be given to sin, please don't be looking at them. But for me, with how hardcore my porn addiction has been, that putting it into artistic ways, an expression where I can express that perversion and then put it out and then have it in something that's nice, like sometimes maybe it isn't appropriate. That's really like, these things aren't so definitive, right? But that's been the importance of breaking these things down. So, that's where I'm at as far as this is concerned, is that I learned, there's some things that are okay. There's some things that are yellow, like they're a yellow flag. They're a yellow light. Do that again and you're going to end up in trouble. Or get into this space and you're going to feel yourself slipping. Or, slow down because this is going to lead straight into red. And then the red is like, stop, do not engage. You don't need to be here. This is bad. This is bad. Don't be doing this. And my ass will go from total green, everything's kosher, to jumping right into the red hot shit and feeling some way about it. And then having to pull myself through the yellow just to get back to the green. That's me. This is why I have to be so stoic. This is why I have to keep the disciplines that I keep. I hope and pray that most people aren't that way. I have a feeling a lot of people might relate. Maybe not with my weird porn addiction, but in general, with the discipline. And that's why it's very important for me to be honest about these things. Because if I say something that resonates with you, but then I say something else where it's like, oh God, now I feel like a terrible person for that having resonated with me. I don't want that. I don't get to control what you do or how you feel. But I think that being honest about who I am, what I struggle with, all of these different things will allow for more honesty and understanding in those ways where it's like, okay, yes, I relate to that. I can actually now understand people better that deal with that, even though it's not something I ever understood before, because I related to that and now I can understand this, right? Like that's my hope. That's my hope. That's why I try to be honest. That's why I try to do these things. Also, like, I didn't ever anticipate being called to do fucking tarot cards and oracle readings. That came out of nowhere for me. And I don't know how long it's gonna last. I don't know. I know that the spiritual work that I'm doing and being able to give certain messages is going to last. As long as I do. But I don't know exactly, like, and I can't speak on those things. I don't know exactly what they look like. I just know when I'm called to certain things, I do my best. I don't understand it. But I do it. And it's like, okay, everything is for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. So, And I really do believe that. And I really do like trust that. And I really do let that guide me in different ways. And yeah, I've been to a lot of crazy places. I've done a lot of crazy things. I've been pretty crazy myself. But I'm extremely thankful for where I am in life now. And that's all that I want to see for others. That's all I want to see for others. I want people to be able to be given to entertainment. I want musicians and artists and comedians and actors and, you know, all of these different types of things. And I want them to be crazy and silly and all over the place and to make people feel all types of things. I'm all about it. I'm punk rock. I love that shit. I'm hardcore. Like, I'm a big fan. But I don't want it to be at the expense of our souls. And people nowadays are so given to, like, they don't know themselves. They don't know themselves. So now you have a bunch of brilliant creators sacrificing themselves for some guy's opinion. For some guy's, okay, you did it right. You get to be part of this game now. You're already part of the fucking game. Don't give in to the gatekeepers. Fuck them. That's their whole power. We don't need the in-between that way. I was talking to a friend just yesterday about these people that I've been talking to people in general about it. I've talked to clients about it even. I don't got a problem talking about it anymore. If you are making your money off the backs of others, if your idea of getting rich and getting successful is having other people do the work for you, and then you just raking in the money because you manipulate that shit, well, you be goddamned, because it ain't gonna keep up. It is not gonna keep up. That's the entire reason the economy is about to fail and completely collapse. You're dumbass. And where are you going to be when you haven't learned how to actually do the work? Continuing to try to manipulate people and find people that can be manipulated? Well, when all that shit comes out in the open, you're going to have a hard time finding people to manipulate. And I will bet on that shit. That's the shit I'm ready to see. That's the world I'm ready for. And I'm waiting for it, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So as long as you see me, you can keep one eye open when you sleep at night, knowing that karma's about to come get your ass. And you can either get straight with your highest power, or you can keep doing your dumb shit and receive your discipline for it. But judgment's coming. You're not going to be able to evade it. Nobody gets to. I don't get to either. You know, when I say these things, I'm saying them to myself too. I'm just not living in fear because I ain't out here trying to fuck people over. In fact, I try to do very hard to not fuck people over. I do my very best. But you know what I don't feel bad about? You know what I don't feel guilty about? Is people getting their karma through me. I'm done feeling bad about that. I'm done taking that. No, because that's the whole reason I haven't seen the judgment happen the way that it's been called to through me. It's because I've felt bad, because I've tried to take on some power about it, because I've let my guilt interfere with what the universe was trying to do through me with these other people. That's not on me. That's not on me. That is not on me. And I'm not going to take it any longer. You got bad shit coming to you? Sucks to be you. You got good things coming for you? Great job. Proud of you. You got bad shit coming to you and you're willing to take them licks and to then become a better person for it? That's the best we got. That's the best we got. I'm so proud of you. That's the best. Like, I love you for that. I love you for that. Because ain't nobody perfect. Even the people receiving good shit and good rewards, like, it isn't because they're perfect. You know, being humble is always going to be the best option. And I get that the tone that I have right now, the attitude that I have right now, isn't necessarily the most humble. But, you know, at the same time, like, that's part of my calling, is because I have to be passionate about things. And in order to be willing to even talk on these things, I'm calling karma to myself too. So like a large part of being able to even communicate these ways has taken a level of humility that you haven't seen the underworkings in order to be able to come out back on top, right? I mean, a lot of different celebrities may understand that because so many people get judged for the surface. when like that's not even who that person is, and you never saw the work that that person was doing behind the scenes in order to get to where they've gotten. But go ahead and keep judging, because really you're just calling judgment on yourself. Hold on, I got a text message. Give me just a sec. Okay. Let's get into this reading, because I have a barbecue to go to. And I'm making elotes, and I'm very excited about that. Okay. I have 3 cards that came out face up, and 3 cards that came out face down. The way that I set them, I will show you, is like this. So I set them up where the face down cards are going to be the cards that I'm actually pulling, and the face up cards are the cards that are already clarifying. And I guess normally I would almost do it backwards. So I guess the reason that I set it up that way, or what I'm going to take from that, the interpretation, is that the clarification is speaking on things that have already been said, things that have already been understood, experiences that have already been had. When the core that we're talking about, the main subjects that we're talking about, are currently have not been revealed. They're being revealed. They're being revealed now. And so it's like so many things that we've been through in the past. It's like, why did I go through that? Why this thing? And maybe we've been able to process a lot of that in a lot of different ways in order to make the most of it. But maybe there's been a lot of things that we've kind of just had to like put away for a time, put on the back burner, even suppress somehow. Not that we've had to ever suppress, because I don't believe that, but maybe we have suppressed certain things. And we haven't fully understood even why that experience, why me, why that specific person, that specific place, this specific time, this specific thing. So that's what it's talking about. There's already been these specifications. There's already been specific experiences, people, person, places, things, ideas that have taken place, that we have experienced, and that we've essentially had to move past because of the passing of time. But what is about to be revealed in this, and this isn't even speaking for all of 2025. It's speaking for our current winter. It's speaking for this transition into a new year. So it's not necessarily that all of this is going to cultivate itself by the end of the month. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll all go super, super quickly, but and be revealed super quickly, and everything will kind of just come to a head that way. But it also may take over the course of the next like 4 months, I'm getting, for a lot of these things to kind of break down and come to. And really it's supposed to be building and establishing so that after that 4 months, all of this shit can just be released and a better idea can come forward. That the next phase will be able to start without still holding on to these things. There was a job on my assembly line when I was doing rotors. We were working on like building small engines for like cooling systems for what are they called? Generators, essentially. Generators is what they were. So we're working on the engines for these generators. Depending on which part of the line that you were on, there was one part on the line that was literally just using an X-Acto knife to remove these little plastic pieces that ended up on some of the molds for different rods to go into. And the reason that was its own position on the line, it wasn't just a small little task. It seemed like such a small, insignificant task, right? It's just like, whatever it is, like it's so monotonous and it's so stupid. But the reason that it was its own specific task and not a second task on a different part of the line was because if you did not remove those properly, if it had to be treated very importantly, because if you didn't remove those properly, as it went down the line, those things would actually fuck up the entire engine. You would have to go all the way back and redo all of these processes just to remove those things, because otherwise it wouldn't function properly. So sometimes that's how it works too. There may be things that didn't seem terribly significant at the time. And it's like, why am I still holding on to this? Why is this still like a thing for me? I thought I already got over this. I did this thing and this thing and this thing. That should all work together for good. So like, Why these tiny little details? Well, because those tiny little details really make a difference, especially in the quality of the product at the end. The tiny little details of adjusting the payday so that you don't have to pay your employees overtime may end up losing you a very significant employee that would have actually bettered your business, and you may end up losing your business for it. For that one tiny little seemingly insignificant thing. Yeah, it was only $70, right? And the fact that you were willing to manipulate an entire system to save yourself $70, essentially robbing that $70 from your employees that are literally the heart and blood of your business, you're probably not going to find success on the end side of that. You're going to have to go back and figure out, why is it that all my businesses keep failing? I keep throwing tons of money into it this way and that way, but I also keep treating people like absolute fucking shit, not appreciating the work that they're doing for me to be able to be successful. Yeah, maybe you should stop putting your success on the back of others. Because if you're trusting that that's what's supposed to be done, and you're not ensuring that all of those things are adding up, can you really be mad when at the end the product isn't sufficient and you have to go all the way back and redo all of these things? You want it right, do it yourself, right? So I know that was a lot. But there's a lot of different little pieces that can be taken from that for whatever it is we're about to be talking about. Okay, I'm going to flip all of these and then just read them that way. I only have so much time. Hold on. Let me check this text. It's a weird way to put it, but okay. All right, I got half an hour. Okay, so the devil. The devil came out in the reverse, being clarified by judgment in the reverse. This is speaking on kind of what I was first starting talking about. We have... Okay, so initially, we've gone through judgment in the reverse, which is coming to an understanding that revenge is the Lord's, judgment isn't ours to make. We can make our own judgments. It's good to have your own sense of judgment in order to create healthy boundaries, but ultimately it's not about you don't get to define other people. You don't get to define other people's values just based on your need for boundaries. Just because what this person is bringing to the table isn't good for me and I have to set a boundary against it, doesn't mean that's a bad person. It doesn't even mean that that's a bad thing. Even if it's truly, truly bad for me. It's about what people do with it, right? That's not for me, but could be for somebody else. And like I've said before, there's been people that I've known that had to be, myself, personally, for myself, let's speak about myself. The drinking thing. Now, I grew up with my dad having died from drunk driving when I was 6 weeks old. So we didn't grow up with alcohol being a thing. Pot became very common in my family. It was very easy to use that way. I still come from a family of partiers, but we kind of always stayed away from alcohol because it's what killed my dad. My stepdad's family was big drinkers, but we also weren't super close with them because of that. The way that they handled it, they could all handle it well. But how my dad explained it, and he wasn't wrong, my stepdad, how he explained it, and he wasn't wrong, was that his family could drink coolers full of beer and chill out and just have a good time, and they could do that every single day, and they could be fine. My family is a bunch of alcoholics. They're mentally not well, and we can't drink like that. We drink, if I drink whiskey every day, I kind of get sloppy and silly. It's still not best, and I'm still not making great decisions, and I would not recommend it. But, my brother, when he was drinking, he was not a good person. He was not a good person. And my grandma, when she was drinking, became extremely bipolar. Both of my grandmas became extremely bipolar when they were drinking. So, there's a lot of different emotional issues that come in with our drinking where it's not good for us that way. However, you can't just deem things that way either, because I had been given to drinking in 2020. That was the only time I've ever been given to it. Otherwise, I would maybe drink twice a year, tops, at large gatherings with all of my friends and family where I felt safe and secure. And I still would only drink to the point of just getting drunk. I wouldn't like black out. I wouldn't drink consistently, tons like that. It's never been the type of person I am. The only time people have seen me like that is because I got fucking drugged. Okay, that's the only time I've ever been blackout drunk. I wasn't blackout drunk. I was fucking roofied. Okay, and that's happened to me several times. Several times. Once, twice. Twice that it was while drinking, and then I was also roofied while not even drinking, while smoking, but while living with a person who was assaulting me in my sleep. But the 2 times that it was during drinking, people were like, oh man, you got really wasted. It's like, no, I got drugged. That isn't, I don't get wasted like that. That is, I'm not comfortable with that. I don't do it. I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel good. I don't like it. So why would I be doing that? It's not a fun thing for me. That isn't something I'm given to. And when I was drinking and given to drinking in 2020, I was forcing myself to do that. It wasn't something that came naturally to me. I wasn't raised that way. It might be in my blood to be able to drink, but I wasn't raised that way. So, I literally had to pretty much, I was depressed, and I was trying to let alcohol take me the same way that it had taken my dad. That's what I was hoping. I was hoping I could just drink enough that I would just die in a car crash, or that I would just die from alcohol poisoning somehow. I was literally drinking a bottle of whiskey a day. I didn't know what I was doing. But you know what that did for me? Crazy enough, because of the way that the universe is that it literally took so much away from me that was negative, and it gave me this sense of power over myself that, like, this isn't actually what I want to be doing, and this isn't good for me. And but like, without all of the damage, it made me feel really stupid for a while, and I felt really dumb and silly, and like, at first it was fun, and then I was like, oh, I think I'm fucking myself up. And it ended up like, I can look back where, like, I'm thankful that I went through that, because I won't be given to that again. I won't be given to that again. I already know that it doesn't serve me. But that was the benefit of it. I went through that and then learned that it wasn't serving me. And it was after that point that I stopped trying to kill myself, which I had been doing since I was 8 years old, actively trying to kill myself, because I just didn't want to live. And after that, I realized, you know what, maybe I do actually love myself. Maybe I do want to live. Maybe life is worth living. And I'm just not in a place right now where, like, I'm doing things that are making life worth living. Maybe I'm not surrounded by the right people. Maybe I'm not living a life worth living yet. And maybe that's worth putting time and energy into, instead of putting all my time and energy into trying to kill myself. Okay, so when we're talking about judgment in the reverse, we're talking about coming to these experiences that we perceived one way, and then we found on the inverse that it was actually something entirely different. It turned our sense of judgment on its head. It gave us a space to just look at things differently, and to look at ourselves differently, and to really look at ourselves, to see ourselves in that mirror. And it wasn't just like, oh, I put on makeup, and so now when I look in the mirror, I see the makeup, and I'm not even paying attention to the fact that, like, my teeth are yellow, or my skin is all broken up under that. Like, you know, there's like a mask we can put on, that we tend to put on even when we look at ourselves. And instead, this was like really looking in that mirror and realizing that, like, the judgments that we had been making at the time weren't justifiable, or weren't like truly valid. Like, they weren't accurate. And so what that's done is, then with the devil in the reverse, it's taken, and this is necessary for a lot of people to go through, but like, I think we've all gone through it to some degree in some different way. But like, to find that, like, the very things that we had been damning ourselves for, that we had found so evil within ourselves, these things that we hated about ourselves or hated about others, because we were deflecting that was something that we didn't want to see in ourselves. And if somebody else is being that way, it's like, oh, it makes us feel some type of way, because it reminds us of something in ourselves that we don't want to be given to. we realized that like those things really weren't as evil, demonic, oppressive as they were, but they weren't in control of us. We were giving that control to them to be in control of us. Yes, we were submitting to those things. Yes, we were over encumbered by those things. Yes, we were being controlled by those things, but only because we weren't in our highest power, only because our judgment was in reverse. You know, and it kind of seemed backwards that way, but it's like it took learning how to see that judgment in reverse in order to come to the place where it's like, oh, also these things really don't have that power. These things really aren't what I believed them to be, and they don't have to have that power over me. You know, when I was smoking pot, I was depressed. I was given to depression a lot easier, and I would use the pot to try to not feel depressed, right? And the pot would make me feel high, and it'd give me a little bit of euphoria, so I wouldn't feel depressed. But as soon as I come down from the pot, the coming down itself felt like depression. It was a bit of a depression because you're elevated, so now you're coming down. Even if it's not depressing you, it's still having this effect of a come down, which was depressing to me. I wanted to constantly stay in this high state. I was high all the time. I'd wake up and start smoking pot. I would smoke any chance I could get. I was smoking at work. I was smoking after work. I was smoking literally from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. As long as I could get away with it, I was smoking. I was high all the time. And that consistency of that elevation left me feeling depressed. Where now, I don't need pot to elevate. I can get high naturally. I don't need wine to feel any type of way. It is celebratory to me. Being able to drink wine, like, to me, like, even if it's super cheap, but to be able to have the glass, it's like this, it's a sacrament. It's a ritual. It's something that reminds me that, you know, it's like taking a bath but lighting candles instead of just taking a bath. You know, that's what it feels like. It's like adding to the experience to remind me of my own enrichment. But if it gets to a point where it's no longer doing that and I'm like feeling like I have to drink it in order to feel some type of way, okay, well, now it's no longer serving that benefit. And now, you know, now it's the devil in the upright. Like, it's about having that judgment in the reverse in order to see these things for what they really are. All right, hold on. I'm going to just finish this up as quick as possible. So then we have the Chariot in the reverse. That's been clarified by the Ace of Wands in the reverse. The Ace of Wands in the reverse is a lack of passion, maybe a lack of intuition, a lack of confidence, just really not feeling like you know yourself well, maybe not feeling like you're good enough. And that is what led into this blockage, into this not being able to move forward, into this not trusting myself. I'm validating that I don't feel good about myself. And so then, of course, I can't trust myself to move forward into these ways, right? I'm just getting these flashbacks from the dreams that I've had the last couple nights that have been really, really wild. But an energy that's come with them is this feeling of confidence that, like, the stuff that I've been doing consistently is actually paying off. Even though I might not see it necessarily in the tangible, it is, and I'm receiving that energy. And that's the first thing that you need to do in order to properly manifest things, you know? If you're telling yourself you're a piece of shit that doesn't truly deserve stuff, you're going to keep settling for shit that you don't deserve. It's only when you're like, you know what? I don't even know what the universe has for me on the other side of this, but I know this ain't it. So I'm willing to move away from this thing. I'm willing to get to what, and sometimes it's not even like, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. You can have somebody who's great for you in all these different ways, but they just aren't the right one for you. Like, they're not a bad person. They're not bringing you down. You know, they can even be helpful. But that doesn't mean that they're the person you're supposed to be committing yourself to. It's about being willing to trust those things and to move into the right directions, because what is meant for you is so perfectly meant for you. Like, you don't even have to question it. It isn't going to be like this weird thing. It's perfect. It's hard to process, for sure. And that's something I constantly struggle with. My past traumas have continued, they dug such a deep hole in my core that oftentimes, like, just receiving a good thing, like, you know, yes, I'm so thankful for the rope that you just threw down into this pit for me to get out. But now I have to cling onto this rope and climb my way out. And it hurts my hands and it hurts my feet. And sometimes it feels like it's easier just to sit in the bottom of that pit. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's worth climbing out. It's worth doing the work. But maybe take it slow. Maybe give yourself, you know, a certain time to do certain things. You know, maybe just you can take a break. You can rest. You're not, if you're that deep, you can't just put all of your energy into trying to get it out at once. You will likely not be able to, and then you're going to fall even harder because you're falling from a high space, right? You don't want to do that to yourself. You don't want to make it harder for yourself to actually succeed. So, like, if you need to take a little break, if you need to take a little time, that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. But don't let that validate then to yourself. Like, don't identify yourself by that, oh, I'm just not worth it. I'm never going to get out of this hole. This is all just too hard. Like, just take your time. Just take your time. Some things take time. It's okay. That's okay. You're doing great. You're doing great. The fact that you were willing to grab that rope at all and even try at all is huge. It's huge because it's that energy. It's that initial energy of being like, you know what? I deserve to get out of this pit. That will get you out of the pit. You would never get out of the pit if you told yourself, this is what I deserve and this is where I'm going to stay. That one tiny little step is everything. Don't beat yourself up about taking it. I'm so proud of you. That's a great thing. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. Take as much time as you need, but at least you're moving in that direction. It's so much better to take time than to move backwards. So if it takes a year after taking that one initial step for you just to stay put before moving on to the next thing, so be it. That's okay. That's okay. Receive those things. Let those things guide you because, again, it's just better. If you have to take a couple steps back in order to jump forward, that's okay too. But know yourself and don't beat yourself up any more than the situation is already beating you up or than you've already been beaten up in order to move into that space where, you know, now things are, listen, I'm sorry, guy, but I can't answer the call right now. I'm in the middle of something. I already said that, and now you're rushing me, and I can't do it. Just like that. You don't have to follow anybody else. You don't have to fall for anything else. You have to do what's best for you. Let you determine that. You stay in alignment with your highest power and let that be the thing that guides you. Everybody else can work around it because I promise you that if it's really what is supposed to be being done by you, and if you are really in that proper connection, it doesn't matter what anybody else says or does. It's what it's doing is forcing other people to also get into that connection with themselves and with their highest power in order to make all of those things what it needs to be. So don't worry about those things. Just worry about you. All right. And then finally we have the Lovers in reverse, being clarified by the Six of Wands in the upright. Now, the Six of Wands in the upright is like a celebratoriness, a success. Interestingly enough, this horse that he's riding on is kind of looking back at him like, bitch. And I remember reading that before in a different deck, where it's like this, you know, it's almost like that feeling of like the horses that had to carry the Nazis or the British or the whatever, where it's like, the horse is like, man, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this, but what, because I'm a horse, I just got to do this? There's a sense of victory. You know, are you the rider, are you the horse? Or we're probably both at different times. That's really the idea of the Lovers, is that union, any union, and we're kind of both at different times. But because it's in the reverse, it's that there's this imbalance between that perfect union of self. And that's okay. That's also essential. This is all talking about the essential steps taken in order to be able to reach our highest power. So sometimes it's important to both be the one willing to receive your victory, your success, and your abundance, even if other people aren't happy with it, even if other people are like, damn, I kind of feel used by that. I'm not saying go out and use people, but I'm saying that if it's best for you, then it was best for them to be in that position. If it's really what's best for you, if somebody gives you something and you have to take that and run with it and leave them behind, it's unfortunate to some degree. I mean, a horse having to be used for this type of thing isn't necessarily always the best. But if that is what's best for you, then you can trust that and just go with that. But also, don't do it without empathy. Understand what it would be like to be that horse, because often you're going to be that horse, having to carry things on your back that you don't even want to carry and you don't even agree with. But these things need to happen. And a large part of this is about like trusting the divine, instead of relying on each other, instead of trusting each other. Not each other, but it's not about sometimes a division is necessary. Sometimes what it takes is going through some shit. Sometimes like that lie needed to be told in order for that person to be found out much later on. And you needed to take that onto your back and have to fight all of those things for such a long period of time just for that person to be found out. Sometimes that person isn't found out, and that's the thing that leads to you being strengthened in the ways that you need to be strengthened. I mean, there's any number of things that could potentially happen. So it's about being willing to receive that, to be able to see success in that, even if it isn't something that you always fully agree with or that you always fully want. Sometimes the greatest things for you are things that hurt, or things that are uncomfortable, or things that aren't exactly what you anticipated for yourself. Again, and I've brought this up in other readings as well, where like, some people like get an arm cut off, lose both of their arms, and suddenly they're painting with their feet. And now they're extremely famous and successful and living a life they never would have imagined that they could have lived prior, proving to themselves that they're capable of so much more than they ever believed themselves to be, all because they lost their limbs. Nobody wants to have to go through that. That doesn't seem like a great thing, but it's about what we make of those things and how those things end up being cultivated within us that really speaks on the value of them. So this is the importance of not finding yourself in judgment over others as well. It's because you don't know what tomorrow holds. You can look in the past and say, this was like this, and this was like this, and this was like this, but you don't know what the future holds. So I try very hard not to judge even the people that have come against me trying to kill me, the people that have raped me, the people that have that have drugged me, the people that like have taken the things that I love and destroyed them. Those things have made me a stronger person, more capable of love than I ever realized I could be. So I'm not mad. I thank you. It was a weird, hard, terrible experience to go through. It was quite traumatic. And there's still processes I'm working out through my trauma. I still have PTSD from some things. I do. But I don't damn myself for those things anymore either. I don't have the depression tied to my PTSD any longer that same way. Anxiety, yes. But the depression, no, because I don't value myself by those things any longer. And I don't hold those things against myself any longer. I receive them with grace and with gratitude as much as I possibly can. Again, don't always do it the best, but that's part of my process. And I just hope that by setting these examples within myself, by taking these things seriously and being able to do these things in myself, that I'm able to also offer that to you. That you're able to see that anything can be overcome, that it's good, and that it's worth it, and that it doesn't compromise you. You can overcome certain things and you're not going to feel at a loss because of it, because now you don't have this thing and don't have this thing. There's so much on the other side when you're willing to sacrifice certain things. But knowing yourself, it's always going to be of the utmost importance. It's everything. You cannot reach your highest power without first knowing all of yourself. And so again, maybe being given to certain things isn't the most beneficial because it takes you away from yourself. Maybe sometimes you need to be taken away from yourself a little bit so that you can see yourself in a better perspective. Trust yourself that way. Get to know yourself that way so that you can make those decisions, so that you can really feel those things, so that you can really be inside of your body, inside of your mind, and outside of those things, experiencing yourself, in a way that is truly, ultimately, the most beneficial. And, things are working out. Again, I mean, it is what it is. There's karma for everybody. There's dharma for everybody. It's really how you receive it, what you make of it. We're going to keep moving forward. And this next year is going to be truly blessed. Truly blessed. And it'll be for those, it'll be for us to receive of it what we will. Like I said, this next few months, there's probably going to be a lot of upheavals, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of confusion, a lot of emotions, a lot of just letting go and not having to be in control. Also, a lot of learning how to be in control and being very strict about your disciplines and being like, just give yourself this 4 months. Just this 4 months, Okay, I'm really not going to do that anymore. As hard as it is, as much as every moment of every day I have to tell myself, don't do that thing. Don't be given to that thing. There are days where just watching porn is on my mind constantly. Eating fast food on my mind constantly. It's just I just want to do these things. But the more that you move away from those things, the easier it gets. Like I said, if you take just this 4 months to not be engaged in those things, it'll go by so quick. You won't even realize it. It'll seem like a little blip on your timeline, but it will do you such a service. It will literally bring abundance straight into your life. It will give you the things that you're waiting for and looking for and wondering why you're never getting. That will be the key. So give yourself that discipline over this next course of time. Give yourself those things. You deserve it. You deserve that time and energy. It can be a bitch, but I promise that even if a month of not doing something, even 2 months maybe for some of the more hardcore things, you will find yourself an absolutely changed person. And you apply it for another 2 months, and you will have instilled healthy habits, maybe for the first time in your life, in many different ways. You will be completely removed from anything you want. Anything that's keeping you back, anything that's holding you down, any of these things, you will be removed from them, but you have to give yourself that time. Just 4 months. Just 4 months. You are so worth it. Please do that for yourself. You will not be in that same pit. You might still be willing to fall back into it. That's on the other side of it, and that'll come as it comes, but you will be out of it, and you will be a different person for it, and you will have learned different new things to fill your time and space with. If you just dedicate that to yourself, you also prove to yourself how incredibly capable you are. And what an incredible blessing. You will feel like a superhero, and I will validate that for you because you are. Because you are. If you're willing to put that work in and do that, yeah. You're your own hero, your own savior. There's nothing greater than that. There's nothing greater than that. Give yourself that time. Give yourself that energy. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for giving me your time and energy this way. I hope that you are blessed, whatever day it is, and I will see you soon.